Okay, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and a quick update on the SDKFZ 167 Stu 4 mid-production by Dragon that I am doing for the Dead in Their Tracks group build on the YouTube Modelers channel, or Google Plus group. I'm also doing this as a buddy build with Stevie Gibson. And Stevie, if you watch this, thanks for the tips and stuff you've given me thus far in the build. And anybody else out there that's given me tips and information, I appreciate it. Because this is one vehicle that I am not very familiar with. So anyway, I have just completed steps number 5 and 6. Now, as usual, I've left off the spare tracks in the front because I like to paint those separately. I have also left off the spare tracks on the top of the hull right here over the transmission housings. But what I did do, I didn't put the tracks on, but I did put the brackets. And in this track being a smart kit, I could either use the plastic, the styrene kit parts, or I could use these very tiny photo etch parts. Now normally I really don't have a lot of problem or a lot of reluctance to use photo etch, but in a case like this I believe these parts are fine enough that it's not really necessary to go through the hassle of using the photo etch parts. So I did not use the photo etch parts there. One thing I will note is whenever I was putting these pieces on, in order to get the appropriate spacing, what I did was I used the actual track links that go there. And something worth noting, and it's obvious in the instructions, but there are specific links that go in specific spots. And the way it works is for instance, this first spot here, I had to drill holes out for it. It shows in the instructions. I had to drill holes out for the first part, which is Q1, which is on one of the sprues there in the kit. And this is it. So what I did to make sure these brackets were in exactly the right place is I just set this in place and space these. And while the glue was still just a little bit soft, it wasn't lined up, then I could align it up so I get a perfect fit in there, because it appears that it is supposed to simulate the track pin going through the bracket, through the link, and through the other bracket to hold it in place. So I did that with all 3 of these parts. And then the parts in between, it shows the right hand magic track. So one thing you'll want to take note of, and again I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but you'll want to, on the links that come on the sprue Q1, 2, and 3, there are some raised ejector pin marks that you'll want to shave or sand off so they'll match the magic tracks. But anyways, got that done. So and I did install this plate onto the lower hull before I glued on these 2 access covers and the brackets. And the reason I did that is just, it's a more stable platform to mount it for me. So I did that. That's all glued on, and I'll save the tracks for later. Whenever I get the base coat on the vehicle and get the tracks painted and weathered, or not weathered but painted, then I can weather the whole thing together. The other part that I got completed was I did the whole rear plate, but I did not install the muffler assembly. And again, the reason I did not install the muffler assembly is because I want to paint and rust this before I install it on the vehicle. I did, however, put it all together on the vehicle to make sure all of the pipes and all of the locating pins and all that fit like they're supposed to. So it is ready to go. So I'm going to be, I will rust this really well, and then I will apply some hairspray or some other chipping fluid. I haven't decided what I'm going to use just yet on this part. Then I will glue it in place, then paint the whole vehicle. And once the vehicle's painted, then during the weathering process, I'll chip away that paint. The idler wheels, I haven't installed those yet. I'm going to go ahead and install those. Normally I don't put wheels and stuff like that on a vehicle until after I have it painted, but the idler wheels are small enough that I'll be able to glue those into place and go ahead and paint it. But I'm not going to put on the road wheels, just because I like to paint the whole thing, do the weathering in mud or whatever I'm going to do inside of here before I actually put the wheels in place. But I'll discuss that later when I get more into those steps. So my thoughts on this first part of the kit, again keeping in mind this is my second Dragon kit, and I do like it. Everything's fit together well so far. No problems, no fit issues. Everything has gone exactly as it should. Everything fit together really well. There's no gaps, too much to speak of. There's a little bit of a gap here and here on these plates, and I may try and fill that in with some putty or cement, but it's in a place that you'd have to pick the model up and turn it upside down to notice it. So I may not mess with that too much because it is going to have some weathering on it. The front end, everything fit together really nicely. No gaps there. Where the weld seams are, they look like weld seams. They butt right up against the part that is supposed to be welded to. So that's kind of nice. So far so good. Cleanup has been minimal, except for the wheels. The wheels were just kind of really, where the two molds, looks like where the two molds came together, they were offset just a little bit, and one side of the tire portion of the wheel was really kind of higher than the other, so I had to do quite a bit of work on that, but that's to be expected on armor kits with rubber tired wheels. So that's not really that big a deal. And I did, in my initial review of the kit, I was trying to figure out what they were trying to get across with this addendum to the instructions, because this is basically this. So in looking at it, in typical Dragon fashion, it shows A38 and then in parentheses A39, which means one piece goes on this side, the other piece goes on the other side. Even though they look the same or similar, they are on opposite sides. So what this addendum to the instructions did was kind of clarify what was going on here. So A38 is the ones you want to make sure you get on this side, and A39 on the other side. And the reason being is the locating holes on this suspension component here has to match this suspension component here. So one hole on the inside of this is larger than the other, and if you were to accidentally get these on the wrong side, because they will fit on both sides, this part does, then this part would be on backwards, and you could, if you weren't paying attention, even get them mixed up to where you'd have two different kinds on one side. So that was kind of nice to have that clarified. Another thing is it shows for the mid-production to use a different, I'm assuming that's a fuel filler cap of some kind. on the side sponsons because it does have holes, and that's one thing that I didn't notice till later, so I'm going to have to fix that. And shouldn't be too hard because I can just soften the plastic a little bit with some cement, pop those out and pop the correct ones in. So anyway, that's what this was. So that was kind of handy and kind of nice. Must be unique to the mid-production vehicle. So again, so far on this kit, my impressions are favorable, and my second experience with a Dragon kit has been good so far. So now, one other situation that I was kind of under a dilemma is I wanted to do obviously one of the vehicles portrayed in these instructions, but in looking at photos, I see a lot of these vehicles, the Stug 4s, with Zimmerit coating, the anti-mine paste common to German vehicles in World War II, and I wasn't sure whether I should be using that or not. So I did some asking around, and I got quite a few answers, most of them saying that Zimmerit was used even on the mid-version vehicles. So not wanting to use putty to put the Zimmerit on because that's a very tedious job, and I just don't really want to tackle that on a kit this complex right now. I've done it on one other kit, but it was a very simple old monogram kit, so it was kind of easy to do. But I didn't really want to do it on this one because, you know, I just didn't want to take the risk of messing it all up. So I looked into aftermarket Zimmerit kits, and there are a few different ones. ATAK is one brand, ATAK, and theirs are made of resin. And then there is Eduard that makes photo etch Zimmerit kit, and they both look good. However, in doing research and trying to find either one of those, neither one of them are available in a mid-production kit. So I did some asking, and it was generally agreed that there shouldn't be too much difference between the mid-production and the other two productions, but there is a separate early and a separate late. So I ordered the late version and got it in and started messing around with it, and I actually did a review on it, just kind of looking at the contents, and this is it. So what I did is I thought, you know, I'm going to test some pieces, so I cut some of the parts off of the fret, the photo etch fret, just to see what kind of fit I would have. So let's take a look at what I discovered. So there is, this is the part right off of the fret for the right side of the vehicle if you were looking forward. Now I'm going to lay this on here, and as you can see, it doesn't match up worth a hoot. Right here, this part is shaped quite a bit different, and then these housings or these mounts for the suspension don't line up with what's in the photo etch. These line up okay, and this in the back doesn't line up either, but that was something that would have been easily fixed, just trim it out. But so I thought at first that I could possibly do some trimming to make it work. So the first one I cut off was the driver's side, and after trimming and everything else, I was able to get it to fit, but I basically had to cut everything off from the top of this down, and it still doesn't quite fit like it should, and the top edge of this does not fit below this edge right here. So at that point I decided, you know, if this way it's going to be on the hull, there's no telling what it's going to be like on the upper parts where there's a lot of odd cut shapes. Just for instance, this part here that goes on the front, it didn't match either. this side matched okay, and it matches okay with that, but this one is offset, so I'd have a weird looking wonky cutout on one side of the hinge. And then I'm not sure that it's the right distance on the top part. So with that, I decided, you know, I am not going to use a photo etch because I could probably do it with a whole lot of work, but that would make this build miserable, and I do not do this for misery's sake. I like to enjoy what I'm doing, and I figured, you know what, if it's inaccurate, well, that's just a real bummer. It'll have to be inaccurate because I am not going to go through all that hassle and still possibly not have it work, because if I got some of it put on and not all of it worked, I'd be stuck with a partially Zimmerited vehicle, and I'm not going to do that. So for good or ill, I decided to forego Zimmerit. There is a possibility that because of the time frame that these vehicles were made, that they might not have had Zimmerit, so I'm going to go with that. Call it the coward's way out if you want, but there it is. I want to enjoy this build. I want to do a good job on it, and I don't feel I'd be able to do a good job by attempting this Zimmerit set. So that is that with the Zimmerit. So if anybody wants a mostly intact set of Stug 4 late, this is the late version for the Dragon, let me know. See if we can work something out. So that's the Zimmerit. That's out of the way. So anyway, that's where I am so far. So I'm getting ready to start on step 7, which is the starting on the upper hull with the engine deck first. So just wanted to give you a quick update on this group build / buddy build project, and until next time when I do another one, I will see you all later. And as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. If you have any questions, comments, or want to call me a sissy for not going with the Zimmerit, please post them in the comments below. So that's it for now. See y'all next time.